Alright, we are starting a new unit called quadratic functions, and we are starting with graph attributes from a graph. And from here, we just need to be able to fill out the graph attributes. Attributes are like domain, range, intercept, vertex, so on and so forth. So we need to find domain first. We know domain is the x-axis or x values. We see right away there are two arrows, so we know it goes on forever. So it can be written as negative infinity to infinity. Oops, that's an infinity sign, sorry, yo. Or any other way. We could even write all real numbers, but you don't have to worry about that. I think just writing it this way, the easiest way, is what we should do. All right, negative infinity to infinity. The range we know is our y values, so we find the lowest possible point. We see that to be 0. All right, and it's included because it's a solid line, so 0, comma, and we see the arrows go on forever. So 0, comma, infinity. We know when it's infinity, it's a soft bracket. All right, now the x-intercepts, it's just where does it intercept the x-axis? We see it intercepts it right there at 0, 0. All right, now usually you see this s right here, x-intercepts, because usually on most graphs, not all of them, but on most quadratic function graphs, there are two x-intercepts. All right, and then our y-intercept for this is also 0, 0. Okay, our vertex we know we learned from a unit a while back that it's the lowest or highest point in the graph. We see the lowest point is also 0, 0, and that it is a minimum graph. There's a low point and everything else goes up. The axis of symmetry is also 0. All right, now this is called the parent function. All right, not always will all the answers be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's just because we are talking about the graph attributes from the parent function. The parent function is y equals x squared. All right, and the parent function is symmetrical to the y-axis. Okay. Then the solutions to a quadratic equation are the points at which the function intersects the x-axis. So you might be wondering, what does that mean exactly? So it basically means the solutions are also referred to as zeros. So if you ever see a question that asks for the zeros of a graph, it means the solutions or the roots. Or the one you'll see the most often is x-intercepts. So wherever it crosses the x-axis, those are our solutions. All right. Let me erase this so we can move down. So this is our parent function. And just remember, the solutions are also referred to as zeros, roots, or x-intercepts. And we see that the solutions are where it intersects the x-axis. All right, let's scroll down. All right, so number 1, analyze the attributes of the following quadratic functions: domain, range, x-intercepts, y-intercept, vertex, and axis of symmetry. We see it's already written. It might be a little tough to see, but we're going to do it together. The domain, that's easy, negative infinity to infinity. All right, make sure we pay close attention. This time, the range isn't just 0 to infinity or something. It's lower on the graph. This right here is at about, let's see, -1, -2, -3, -4. So we know our range because it's down here. All right, let me change color so we can see. All right, it starts down here, which we just count. This is where the middle is. -1, -2, -3, -4. So we see our range is -4, and that's included, comma, infinity. All right. The x-intercepts is just where it intercepts on the x-axis. We see they're already circled. Again, might be a little tough to see, but if we go over, we see that's -3, 0, -3, 0, and 1, 0. Again, again this time. See, there's 2, so plural x-intercepts. All right, and then y-intercept, -1, -2, -3 right here. So that's 0, -3. Okay, the vertex is the lowest or highest point. That would be right here. And again, it's just a point on the graph. We go left 1 and down 4. So we know it's -1, -4. And once again, it's a minimum graph because there's a lowest point. Then everything goes up. And then the axis of symmetry, we know it's always the x value of the vertex, or literally where the graph is symmetrical. And that would be x is equal to -1. So again, this is why we were big on learning the graph attributes a while back, why we did that so much, because we're going to need it here. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. Technical difficulties. We just zoomed in for some reason. Well, let's scroll down. Now we see our calculator steps. All right, it says open the Scratchpad graph. We know how to do that because we were graphing earlier. We type in the equation and then press enter. And then to trace the graph, we hit menu 5-1. All right, so if you're able to already have the calculator software, hopefully it worked out for everyone. Turn it on. Open the Scratchpad graph, type in the equation. And then one key component that's not listed in these steps is when you click on the Scratchpad, it just says type in the equation, but you need to make sure it pops up. And this time we're actually doing function. So you'll press, I know last time we hit menu 3-2 for relation, but this time we're going to hit menu 3-1 to get to function, because we're doing quadratic functions. And then from there, you'll type in the equation, press enter. All right, and then from there, we're going to trace the graph. That'll be important to find our x and y intercepts. And then we can move left to right, and then hit dock B, or just hit escape to clear it out, or just keep pressing the delete button, and it says, do you want to delete the graph? Say yes. All right, let's scroll down. Because here we see the way this is going to work, we're going to need to be able to use the calculator to graph this and then trace it to find our x and y intercepts. All right, so let's go menu 3-1 for our function. I'm going to type in negative x squared minus 10x minus 25. And then I hit enter. Then I hit menu 5-1. And right away it sends me to my y-intercept. But let's start over. We know the domain is negative infinity to infinity. Okay. Our range, actually let's skip ahead because I traced the graph. Our y-intercept is 0, -25. All right, if you just trace it and as soon as you hit trace, it sends you to the y-intercept. Do you notice something about the y-intercept? It is this number right here. Okay, keep that in mind when we move on in this unit. But I'm going to keep using my arrow. I'm going to trace it to find my x-intercept. All right, my x-intercept is -5, 0. -5, 0. Again, this is the way I'm finding this is I'm tracing the graph. I'm moving the arrows around until I find it. I also see that my range, it is a maximum graph. All right, and my range is negative infinity all the way up to 0. 0 is the highest point on this graph. Okay, and my vertex is also -5, 0. So that's where it's symmetrical, and my axis of symmetry is -5. Again, all this, I found all this through the graph, through tracing the graph on the calculator. So hopefully you're able to find the calculator, or hopefully you're able to get the calculator and you can do this as well. But later in the week, we're going to be able to solve this and we're going to be able to do it without the calculator and figure it out. All right? Let me know if you have any questions. Complete the worksheet. All right?